Poem's called Another Shitty Day. It's been for this week's poems about Prompt on Blue Sky, The Look. Another shitty day. It's a prose poem. Another shitty day. Except for not getting blown up, working in downtown Newark in the 2000s sucks compared to the 90s at Ground Zero. Each morning, my delivery guy calls from the sidewalk, and I say, "How's it going?" If he says it's a shitty day, I know to expect a gratuity left for housekeeping in the freight elevator alcove by an overnight guest. Friday mornings, I schlep to Zaro's in the gateway by Penn Station escalators for a toasted bagel with a schmear of butter and cream cheese that perfectly blend by the time I gnaw into the dough while standing in the break room window overlooking McCarter Highway and watch the panhandler who reports daily to the corner outside the Hilton in a greasy parka and laceless boots. Summer, winter, cold, rain, hot, snow, sun, arguably more dedicated than whatever manager never gets the missing eye replaced on the hotel's sign. Regular as a dancer on a cuckoo chalet, he silently greets the first car at every red light and finishes, of course, right in front of his bench as the light turns green, resting just long enough to begin his shuffled march to the next red light cycle. When the local apothecaries start cutting their fentanyl with xylazine, people on the street become frozen in time, and the walker strolls among them like Jeremy Wickwire in Happy Glades. We are advised to be wary of zombies, but the street creatures, some of whom appear to be examining the same gum on the sidewalk or holding up the same chain-link fence on my lunchtime people watching as on my morning power walk from the parking lot, look less like the undead than a hyper-realistic installation by Dwayne Hanson. Ironically, the DEA office is right under mine, and I wonder what they make of the scene across the street. But I'm not certain that their floor has windows. So yeah, it was much different atmosphere working in downtown Newark than downtown New York. Of course, the advantage was my office didn't get blown up in Newark. And, there were two scenes I didn't put in here because it would have made it too long and off the mark. But, most of us survived the Trade Center attack. And we had our own floor when we moved over to Raymond Boulevard in downtown Newark. And Social Security moved next to us, and some of the people were like, "Oh, we were just nice having our own floor," and so forth. And then people started complaining to me that there was a woman who came to work for Social Security covered from head to toe, and they said, "I don't want to work. I don't want to be in the same, floor as terror or the office next to terrorists." And I said, I don't even know what I said. I really don't, but I had to come up with something as a manager or supervisor. But, really I wanted to be like, how do you want her to get to work? Levitation or what? Just why don't you say hello in the escalator, in the elevator like I do, and find out she's a pleasant person. And by the same token, Customs, when it was under Treasury, had a heart, and after 9/11, they gave us a choice. Unlike Homeland Security, they would never have given anyone a choice. But Customs gave us a choice to either report to Newark or report to JFK. And the people that reported to JFK, they shortly after they left, there was a fire drill or emergency drill and evacuation. And the JFK office was, the parking lot was adjacent to a runway, which was actually where the Concorde used to land, the supersonic plane, which was a whole story in itself. But, so the people had just gotten over, plane attack, and they had to gather at this fence near the runway. And of course, a plane was coming in while they were gathered, and the people were like, "You brought us out here to kill us. You brought us out here to kill us." And it had to be pretty freaky. There were things that would freak you out. Like even we had originally, before we fixed the office up in Newark, we were in Elizabeth, and somebody had a desk near to the copy machine. I actually got stuck with the desk. It wasn't even a desk. it was the workstation where the copy machine was. And sometimes if there was no paper, people would say to me, where's the copy paper? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, oh, I thought you were in charge of the copier. Because I just sit here. You know, it's crazy. But anyway, a friend of mine became a good friend of mine. You know, she was sitting at her desk, and someone brought copy paper over and just dropped it on the ground. It was somebody that wasn't one of us. It was one of the people who already were working in Elizabeth, probably one of the offices, uniforms, and they just dropped it on the ground, and boom, you know. And she was like, oh, I think she freaked out. You know, the sounds could freak you out. But anyway, that would have been too much to put in this poem, but that was a shitty day too, you know. But there you go, another shitty day.